Hi, I'm Ashton, and I have to read Henry IV Part 1 by Shakespeare for class tomorrow, and I really don't want to, so instead of actually reading, I'm just going to talk about reading and pretend it fulfills the same need. I promise I will read after I film this video, but I want to talk about books. As it is like 10:30 p.m., I will also be doing a little, I guess, get on ready with me while I do this, and I'm gonna get cozy, take off my makeup, take my hair down, because this is a bit ridiculous. So I posted on my community tab a couple days ago, or probably like a week ago by the time you're watching this, but about a book tag called like the Finally Fall book tag, and I don't make a lot of book videos, but I really enjoy book videos, and most of my videos have been doing pretty well recently, so I figured if you like don't want to watch this, then you have plenty of other content that you will likely like based on my channel, I guess. Does that make sense? No. Point is, I am making this for myself, and for any of you that want my book recommendations. I watch a lot of like book-related content on YouTube, and I saw Kat of Paperback Dreams doing the Finally Fall book tag, so I stole this from her. That's the video I shared on the community tab. I will link it in the description, and it is also my most recent community post if you would like to watch that one before you watch this one. Her video is very nice and calm and lovely. So was I tagged in this? No, but Kat did comment on the community post and tell me to do it. So I feel like I need to, and none of you said I shouldn't. So this is just 10 questions. They're all like fall themed in a way. Let's have some fun. The first question is, in the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. This is actually one I have two for. My first recommendation is a horror that I read as an ebook recently. It's an old one. If you're into horror, you've probably already read it, but The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I feel like the setting is pretty strong. I'm not super into haunted house style horror, but I didn't hate The Haunting of Hill House. I wanted to read it because it's like classic horror, and I feel like it's oftentimes recommended. And I also read Salem's Lot by Stephen King recently-ish. Shocking, I know. And an aspect of it that I actually enjoyed was like the blending of the subgenres between like haunted house fiction and vampire fiction. Like those two kind of intersected in that book, which I thought was fun. So I was like, oh, I want to read more haunted house fiction. Turns out it's not my favorite thing, but I enjoyed The Haunting of Hill House, and it does have a strong setting. So that, and also Felix Ever After. This kind of answers the question in a different way because the setting is never like super strongly described, but I feel like the setting plays into the storyline a lot, and it also helps develop the characters. Really, the last video I made was about Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. It's good. I would recommend that you read it. So yeah, that answers the first question. One horror, one YA. And I'm sorry, but neither of those books I own. I borrowed both of them as ebooks. That is how I read the majority of my books these days. Question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. I have the perfect book to recommend for this one. It is a memoir, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. It's a memoir. It is incredible. It is one of my favorite books I've read this year, and probably one of my favorite memoirs I've read ever. I do really like memoirs, but I don't read a lot of them, but this one was really, really good. It's beautifully written. It's not written like most memoirs are. It kind of bridges the line between prose and poetry sometimes, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It is like a memoir, obviously, so it's not really focused on one thing specifically all the time, but one of the main themes is talking about abuse in queer relationships. A lot of the book follows Carmen, the author, as she gets involved in and then escapes from an abusive relationship that she was in. It is hard to read at times, but it's an important story. And as you get closer to the end of the book, it ties in like larger themes about the way that we view abuse in queer spaces and how oftentimes it's seen differently. It's pretty short, but it deals with really important topics. And if you like memoirs, I would definitely recommend it. Even if you're not the biggest memoir person, I think you would very likely enjoy it if you are into those themes, or if it's something that you think would be interesting to read about. Also, for the people that always ask how I get dramatic ass heavy eyeliner off, micellar water. Lifesaver. Question number 4. Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something. I read a lot of nonfiction, so I could recommend billions of things for this, but a lot of the nonfiction I read, especially when it comes to theory, stuff like Woman, Race, and Class, or especially stuff like queer theory, a lot of it is stuff that I don't necessarily learn, but I like am able to put into words, if that makes sense. When I read about identity politics related stuff, a lot of the times it is stuff that I'm like, oh, I know this because I've experienced this and now I have words for it, which is a great feeling. But a book that genuinely like taught me shit that I had no clue about is The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. I read this 2 months ago on recommendation of one of the LGBT Center people that I volunteer with. It's another one that I read as an ebook through the library. But it does have an absolutely wonderful cover, and it is on my wish list of books. It is very academic. It's not like light-handed at all. It's written very factually, and it's dense. It's relatively academic, but if that's something that you can get through, or if it's something that maybe you'd prefer in an audiobook, writing style-wise, but it taught me a lot. I didn't tell you what it's about. It's about like housing segregation and housing discrimination, and it's incredibly in-depth. It's really well-researched, and if that's a topic that you're interested in or feel like you should know more about, that book is a great way to go. I'm not generally a big history person. I do love queer history, but this book was interesting to me, so I would recommend it. It definitely taught me something. It taught me more than something. It taught me a lot of thing. Number 4, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with the people that we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you would love to be a part of. I've not read a lot of, like, fiction recently that has a group that I would like to be a part of. Like, a lot of the fiction I've been reading recently is either YA or horror, and I don't really want to be friends with a group of high school kids at my current state in life, and a lot of the horror groups of friends all get murdered. So, but earlier this year I read a YA romance called Music from Another World by Robin Talley. Was it a perfect book? No. But it kind of hit a lot of my interests. There was some queer history in there. It was set around the time of Prop 8 and when Harvey Milk got elected. And it also is pretty heavily centered around Riot Girl music. So, would I want to live in that era? No, I'd probably get hate crimed. But I would like to be friends with the Riot Girls. I might not really be allowed in that friend group because there's like a bookstore where only women are allowed. And how about instead of transplanting me into that era, I just take like the entire Riot Girl subculture and queercore subculture and like gay bookstore subculture and like just implant it into right here, right now. And those are my friends now. That is not how this question works, but that's what I'm saying anyway. Music from Another World by Robin Talley. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. This was hard for me because I don't have a lot of my books with me right now. A lot of them are in storage. Someday they will reappear on my shelves. Someday I will have my books with me. But for now, these are the books that I own that are fall-colored. 3 of them are Shakespeare-related. I'm very sorry. Here are my fall leaf-colored spines. Wow. We've got Stolen Sharpie Revolution by Alex Reck. It's a nonfiction resource guide for making zines. We've got Shakespeare's Othello. It's a play. It's all right. Not my favorite Shakespeare play. Shakespeare's Tempest, which is so far my favorite Shakespeare play. It is yellow and it's a gift from my boyfriend, so I hold this close to my heart. I've read The Tempest like 3 times. It's magical and it has a non-binary like fairy elf character, so you can't go wrong. Next fall-colored spine is my current read, which is Revolting Prostitutes, The Fight for Sex Workers' Rights by Molly Smith and Juno Mack. This was published originally in 2018, and this is a 2020 edition. Verso Books had like a 60% off sale, I think, so I got this, and I also got How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. So this is my current read. That's going to be either my next read or one after the next one, because I want to read Carmilla soon. But Revolting Prostitutes, so far so good. Next, Orange, Gay Berlin by Robert Beachy. Read this a while ago. It's got quite a few bookmarks in it because I do want to use some of this for reference in a video at some point. Kind of nebulous and I don't have any solid plans yet, but it's Orange. It's a history book focusing on gay and sometimes more broadly queer identities, specifically in Berlin. Another like city-specific book I have is Queer City. You can't really see it, but it's by Peter Ackroyd. It's right there. That one's about London. I believe this was also a gift from my boyfriend. He likes to get me Shakespeare and gay history books. It is always wonderful because he likes history, I like gay shit, and I like gay history, so like it's a wonderful crossover of our interests, and I can talk to him about it, and A lot of times it also includes linguistic related stuff, especially this one, because it's about like the development of identity. And anyways, I've been talking about this for too long, but it's orange. Next, Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire. I don't think I have to explain this one much because I mention it in literally every third video. It's pedagogy related theory, very good, very influential, would definitely recommend. It is read. And finally, another Shakespeare, Shakespeare and the Resistance, which my boyfriend also got me. This is really, really interesting. There's a lot of scholarship on Shakespeare and I've not read a lot of it. This is pretty academic. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you're super interested in both Shakespeare and politics. But, you know, I found it interesting. That's my stack of fall color books. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. I don't know if this entirely qualifies, but I'm going to say it anyway because to me it has the tone of telling a story. And that is Stonebridge Blues by Leslie Feinberg. I've been meaning to read this book for years, but I finally actually had the motivation to because I read it for book club. If you want to read it, please do. It is literally free online through Leslie Feinberg's website. I will link it in the description. It's right there on the front page. Literally in his dying days, his project was to make Stonebridge Blues free for everyone because he was a revolutionary communist, and I love him with my whole heart. And this book is wonderful, and it is so heavy, but it's so important, and I would love to talk about it more. I'm very excited to talk about it in book club, but Stonebridge Blues is wonderful, especially if you're trans or lesbian or involved in LGBTQ spaces. And anyway, I would very much recommend it. It's very good. Yes, it's like outdated, but it's a really important snapshot of history. And it also deals with like labor organizing, which is good and another very important aspect of revolutionary politics. Yeah, I really like Stonebridge Blues. That is all. I love it. Thank you. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. Most recent book I finished fits this role, actually. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. It's a little bit of a supernatural story. It's a little bit of a slasher story, kind of. It's very interesting. I gave it, I think, 3 or 4 stars. Probably like 3.5. It's not like my favorite, but I did find it pretty, not scary, but thrilling. And it is dark. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of animal death. And there's quite a few human deaths too. So I don't know necessarily who I would recommend it to. Maybe read the Goodreads synopsis and a few like non-spoiler reviews and see what you think. There's actually a review by a Native person that I will link down below because it is a book centering around Native people written by a Native author. So I don't have that much jurisdiction to like really talk about it other than the story itself. But I will link that down below. If you're interested in it, read the synopsis and see, but it is dark, so it fits for this question. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. This is another book that I read through the library and don't own, but really, really want to own. Sister Outsider, Essays and Speeches by Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde is easily one of my favorite writer, poet people of all time. I'm not a huge poetry person, but I really like Audre Lorde's poetry. Her prose is also absolutely wonderful. Probably not all of her writing is heartwarming for everyone, but I find it really heartwarming. It's very like invigorating and inspiring for me. And I feel like that is probably also the case for a lot of marginalized people. So I would definitely recommend Sister Outsider, whether or not you're a Black lesbian feminist. I really enjoyed it, and I'm a white gay trans man, so. I actually have not read a lot of heartwarming stories this year, much less short and heartwarming stories, but I think Sister Outsider fits for this question, so that's what I'm recommending. Number 9, fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you would like to return to soon. I actually have a very exciting answer for me for this one. Southern Ring series by Kenneth Ogle. I'm so fucking excited about this. Okay, let me rant for a moment. I've been wanting to reread these for so long because this is the series that sparked my obsession with bats. This is why I love bats so much. I believe the original novel was published in 1997, but I got the series of 3 as like a Christmas gift from family friends when I was 8, 9, 10, I don't know. As you can see by the spines, there's like parts of a bat, and I used to have the one in the middle that completed the bat on the spines. So I want I want that edition so badly, and hopefully I'll find it someday. But I had to reorder the second book in the series, Sunwing, off of Thrift Books because I let one of my friends borrow the second book in the series and she never returned it. This was like 10 years ago, so I'm not mad about it, but I'm still sad about it.
So I was looking for a photo of the spines of the edition that I had. This is what they looked like. They made a bat together, and I want the middle one so bad. But I also discovered that apparently this is a really common book to be assigned to like school kids in Canada, which explains why I read it, because it was Canadian friends that got it for me, and it also explains why nobody around me read it because I live in the southern United States. Canadians sound off. Did you read this series? Have you read it recently? Apparently there was also a Silverwing animated series that aired in Canada, and I don't know why the fuck I watched Wipeout Canada and Manhunter and Telefrancais, but not that. So I'm mad about that. But anyways.
These 4 books I will be rereading soon, and I'm considering making a video about it, like I reread my favorite childhood series, I don't know, but I loved this series so much. I'm a little bit scared that it won't like live up to my expectations, but it's about bats. So really, how bad can it be? These books aren't like very long and the writing isn't like super highbrow or anything, so I'm hoping to finish it in a few days. Maybe it'll be like a weekend project, we'll see. Last one is a very easy question. Fall is a perfect time for cozy reading night. Share your favorite cozy reading accessory. My weighted blanket and my dog. That is all. End of video. That was a short little video, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a couple reading recs. Maybe you're excited for me to read Silverwing. I don't know. I'm going to go shower, and then I guess I will read King Henry IV. Goodbye. I hope you've read a good book recently, and if you have, please tell me about it, and I'll talk to you later, maybe.